It's Dr. Mortensen, and I'm here to kind of finish up what we started on Tuesday and just make sure we don't get too super behind in class. Of course, we can't really do tablets on, I don't know how to teach you tablets this way, so we're going to have to sort of table those, and maybe when we get more into Photoshop, we'll do tablets, and actually they have more capabilities with Photoshop, so that might work out really well anyhow. So I'm sorry that you had to go through the trouble to check those out, and now you don't really have anything to do with them. But if you want, you can always hook it up to your laptop, install the driver, and play with tablets a little bit and see if that's a way that you would like to work. Also, I'm sure that lynda.com has a tutorial on the bamboo tablet if you want to check that out. Otherwise, just kind of hold tight and we'll get to those a little later. If you're anxious to learn them though, I'm sure you could easily explore them, watch the video, and figure them out pretty easily. They're not terribly difficult, but it's a different way of drawing, so it's just one of those things, just like the pen tool, where you need a little bit of practice, but it's actually quite a bit easier than the pen tool. Alright, anyway, I did want to talk about, again, InDesign, where we left off, and especially just go through some of these skills that I had intended to get to last time. Also, I know it had been requested that I give you some examples of student logos and student identity systems from the past. And I didn't look super hard, but I want to show you where you can find them. All right, find this one real quick. From a student a couple years ago. Actually, I think this one might be from Create-a-thon. I don't remember for sure. But if you want to look at student examples, we do have a website where we keep all of our, let's see, right here. This is the address right here. It's kind of a long one. But this is where we keep all of our past student portfolios. So if you go through those, you can look at the design section, and most students should have their identity systems in there, so you can look through those. I definitely recommend that you look through the more recent ones as opposed to the really old ones, although the old ones are kind of fun to look at too, to see how far we've come. But I know the spring 2017 was a pretty strong class, and fall 2017 a little bit less so. Fall 2014 was a really good class, so look through those and you will find some examples. I was going through, this is Lindsay Lane's, let's see, oops. So if you click on hers and go to logo and branding, she has a couple of good examples of a logo that she designed, how she put it on her letterhead, and she actually took hers pretty far and has a video and some clothing. Here, of course, are her business cards, a website, and she liked to put things on clothes, I guess. But anyway, just wanted to give you that resource so that you can look through those if you want to get some ideas. So again, I'll just pull up the address again. I think also if you go to bit.ly/JOUR560, let's see, yep, that also works. Alright, so I'm going to open up InDesign. Of course, you can work along with me if you want, or you can just watch, however you best work. Actually, I have to search here real quick. Pull it up, and we'll learn a few more skills. I don't know if this is any better than learning from Lynda. I don't have a cool British accent, but at least I can teach you just the things that I want you to know for now. Not all of these things are necessarily skills that you need to know to complete the current assignment. Some of them are, some of them aren't. But certainly they're things that you want to know before you graduate, and will help you out in future classes as well. So let me open up a new document. And I don't really think in picas, I think in inches when I'm working with documents, so I'm going to change that. And I think we've talked about all this stuff, so I won't go through margins and bleeding again. I'm just going to do a basic 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Give it a name. Great. Okay, so obviously this is my margin here. We have talked about how you can get rid of that, or at least go to a preview mode down here at the bottom of your toolbar, just by switching back and forth between normal and preview. And I'm going to leave it at normal for now, even though I occasionally toggle back and forth between normal and preview to see what my document looks like. And sorry, let me just pull this back up real quick so I can, oops, wrong one, so I can remember what were the skills that are really important that we know right now. So inserting special characters. First of all, and glyphs. Let me just do a default paragraph. I'll go to my type tool and just click and drag. And then do type, insert, or fill with placeholder text. And that way I'll have something to work with. Just give myself some space. Bear with me for 1 second. My computer is getting kind of loud, and I think I have a program open that's maybe slowing me down. Maybe not. It's this one. I just have a lot of stuff open. Okay. Anyway, I think we'll be good. So the way that you insert special characters, so we've talked a lot in our little thou shalt not document about M spaces and N spaces and doing fractions correctly and really intricate things like that. So this is a pretty easy thing to do, but it sometimes requires some searching. I'm going to go to Garamond because, as you guys know, it's my favorite. And it also has a really good set of glyphs that I can add in. So I'm just going to leave my cursor at the end here and go to type menu, and insert special character. And from here, of course, it depends on what I want. So you can see we have millions of options. So symbols such as bullets, I can insert the copyright symbol, an ellipsis, a paragraph symbol, trademark. So let's just do a copyright. And there we go. It's my copyright character. Go ahead and zoom in here so when I'm inserting these you can see what I'm doing. Use some of the other options. So special characters again. Oops. Sorry. Let's see. So here are my, if you go to hyphens and dashes, those are your M dashes and your N dashes. And I think there are quick keystrokes for those, which I remember some of them, but not others. So I'm not going to try to do that right now. Under quotation marks, this is where, I don't know if you recall, but we talked about smart quotes versus dumb quotes and smart apostrophes versus dumb apostrophes. So this is where you would do that. So that's a smart quote. Special character. And then if you go to, let's see, also there's the quotes, markers. So those are pretty much all of the ones that we've talked about in a lot of detail. And then there's one other place where I can find even some more glyphs. So if you go to type glyphs, and if you recall, a glyph is just a fancy name for any kind of character, whether it's a letter or a number or a large set of glyphs, or a wingding or a quotation or whatever. This is where you'll find the glyphs. You can see I have fractions in here if I needed to insert those. We have some interesting combo letters like the AE combo here. If you need to insert characters that maybe aren't typically used in the English language but might be used in different languages, different cultures, that's where you would probably find these. And then a lot of stuff that, man, I would probably almost never use, but there are some, so like the male-female stuff down here. I love this glyph down here. It's the FL combo. So let me insert that. I know, it's kind of silly to say that I love that so much, but if you need to insert that and write a word that has the FL combo, that's actually the proper way to do that. You can see actually it does it automatically for you on Garamond, so that's kind of cool. That's about it for inserting special characters. That's all pretty straightforward. The hard thing is just remembering to actually take the time to do that. And I'll be looking carefully for these things on our type assignment, because we're getting really into type at this point and trying to teach you a lot about type. All right, so let me go back to my slideshow. Some data analysis too. Where are you, slideshow? So I closed it, sorry. Okay, so inserting special characters, inserting glyphs, we talked about that. Flowing text, so let's do that real quick. So let me zoom back out. And go to my selection tool. So what happens, and we probably won't need to do this on this particular assignment, but you'll certainly use this in the future, is if you have a column like this and you get this little red symbol, what that means is that there's more text than is showing up in the text box. So the text box is smaller than the amount of actual text that you need to use. So this is pretty straightforward. Again, all you do is you click on this little red, so I don't think I got it, the little red plus sign, yep, and you get what's called a loaded cursor, and that just means that it's got the rest of your text in it, and whenever you're ready you can click and drag and it flows that for you. And I even have one more to do. And now no matter how I adjust these columns, it'll flow that for me. So this is pretty handy when you're doing a document involving lots of text. A good thing for like your resume, a good thing for any page layout, certainly if you were doing a book. And even if you're doing a brochure, some of you are doing things like brochure, you're going to want to do the text flow. You're going to need to use that capability. Let me also talk about text wrapping. So let's insert an image. So remember, we're never just inserting an image directly. We always use this frame tool, and it's always the one with the X through it, not the one below. And I'll do a circle just because it shows the flow of the text around and the different ways it can interact a little bit better. So I inserted my frame tool, and now I'm going to do File, Place, or Command D. I always have interesting pictures here. There's my dad and my son, and that's kind of funny. So I insert that picture, and of course we also talked about fitting, but let's review that real quick. So right now it's the actual size of the photo, which is not very big, and the actual size of the frame. I can control click on this and go to fitting, and we have several options for how we want these two things to interact. I like to do the fill frame. Let's see, let me think about this. I always get these mixed up. I think it's the fit content proportionately. So I want as much of the content in the frame as I can fit without squishing the photo and without getting any corners in there. Oh, that did get corners in there, so let's try this one. There we go, that's the one that I want. Again, I always get those mixed up and sometimes have to try a couple before I get the effect that I want. And then of course I can go to my direct selection tool, and if I wanted to, I could move this around. So the selection tool will work with the content box and the direct selection tool works with the content itself. So that's pretty good. All right. So text wrapping is the way that the text interacts with an image or a shape or a graphic. In this case, they're not interacting well at all. So the text is behind the image and I can't read it. And I think I might have to actually move this to the front for this to work, but let's see. So I'm going to select the start thing, tomorrow. Select my image and then go to, I don't even need to go to actually window text wrap because it's all up here. But I'll open that palette just to have some more options. And with a text wrap, there are different ways that your type can go around that image. So in this case, it's going around the box, and that's not very aesthetically pleasing to me because we have these corners here that I don't want. You can do where the type goes around the actual shape of the image, and that looks pretty good, I think. You can have it go on top and on bottom. I don't know why you'd ever do that. Let's go back to this, this option here. And then you have some options for the spacing around. So see how the text goes right up to that image. And typically, excuse me, typically that's not how you'd want it to react. So I can give myself a little extra space just using these adjustments here. And the reason it only has one is because with the circle, of course, there's no top or bottom or right or left. It's just, goes around in the same way. So now if I go to my preview, there you go. And that's a pretty decent little text wrap. Back and remind myself. So that's text wrapping, flowing text, we've done that. So things like leading and space before, space after, and indentations. Let's do those. So if I have a paragraph here, we've talked about the different ways that you can do paragraphs. So I could indent, and it gives me this massively, much too large indent. I could add extra space, but we also talked about how it gives me way too much space if we do return. But of course, one return is not enough. So what I want to do is go to Window, Type. Nope, I lied. Let's go to, yeah, no, it's correct. Window, Type, and Table, sorry, and Paragraph. As I transition from Illustrator to InDesign, there are just little differences that get me caught up. Anyway, so here are all of the intricate different things that you can do with spacing and paragraphs. So you almost have to kind of look to figure out which one is which. So right here you can see that there's this little icon that is indicating it's the space after the paragraph. How much space do you want after a paragraph? So you can simply kind of add that. And actually one click here looks about right. What you're going for is approximately, somewhere between one return and two returns. So in this case, I think that 0.0625 is looking pretty good for me. So I'm going to leave that right there and call that good, and I could do that with each paragraph. Later, and probably not in this video, we will talk about paragraph and character styles, and you can do that so it applies to every single paragraph rather than just having to go through and do it with every single one. But for now, and since we're not doing a giant document and we're just not there yet, I'll just leave it there. You can also have it set so it's space before, and in this paragraph palette you have all of the settings about drop caps, for example. Make drop caps. Usually those are kind of old school, old-timey, and don't work that well, but in certain cases they do. This is also where you would set your your indent. So let me get a new paragraph here. Oh, it doesn't look very good. Get rid of these settings over here. Okay, so my indent. Oh, actually, that's not. Nope, that's a space before. Excuse me. For the indents, the easiest way, actually, I would do it with a tab. And so if you go to Window, probably type and tables again. Yep. Forgive me, I keep forgetting my menus. Aha, type and tabs. And it gives you this little bar. And if you just line this up, and there are these teeny little triangles that you have to adjust, there you can set. So that's the 1/2 inch that we've talked about. That's generally too big. Oh, no, that's the 1/2 inch. It's hard to grab onto just the right thing. So that's generally too big. Grabbing, darn it. It's hard to grab onto the right little itty bitty thing. It's actually ridiculously hard to do. About half that works pretty good. That's probably pretty close to an M space. So 1/4 of an inch is, to me, much less obnoxious than a 1/2 inch. Oh, leading. So that's also in the paragraph palette. Again, I can select my paragraph. I don't believe I have to select the whole paragraph. I think I can just click in there. And already have this open here. So kind of looking at these little visual cues on what we have going on. And I want to set. It might not be correct. Let's see. Sorry, I feel kind of silly making pauses more so in a video than in class. Hold on, my leading is here. It's actually, I don't know why it's not showing on my paragraph palette. I feel like it should, but if you go up to the Properties panel, this is the Properties panel. You know, it's always up there, but I thought it would be on the paragraph palette also. But the leading is simply right here in the same place as I believe it is in Illustrator. So type size, of course, and then leading. You have to have that selected. You do. And that will adjust the amount of leading. So we've talked about if we have 10-point font, we want approximately time and a half, so approximately 15-point leading. And in this case, that looks pretty decent. I think that's about good for now. That should get us to where we need to be. Sorry for kind of the rough little digital lecture here, but hopefully I was able to teach you enough to get you caught up, and so that we're not getting too behind with this with Michael. Hope you all are safe. Let me know if you have questions, if there are things that you're trying to do that you need some help with. Just don't hesitate to send me an email. And I might do another one of these lectures for Tuesday, because I had already said we don't have class on Tuesday, and not knowing about Michael, and a lot of you have already made plans, and I'm not gonna put that class back on, but I might do something digital again, so we'll just kind of stay up to date, kind of have a hybrid online and face-to-face class for a little while here. I was about to wrap up, but let me talk about 2 other things briefly since I thought of them. I'll probably give you a little exercise that I've been working on where I'm going to give you some poorly set text and have you fix it. That would be a good practice for us at this point. I'll let you know if I decide to do that. We'll get rid of that lovely document. And I know last time, one of my classes, I think I talked about brand books for like 1 second. And in one of my classes, I don't think we got to it. But I do have a couple of examples of brand books that I'll go ahead and post. Not because we're making a brand book, but because it does go to show the way that different things, visuals, colors, text, sort of work together to create a nice system, which is certainly part of what we're doing. So in a brand book, that's what that is. It's a guide for how to use the logos, how to use the colors, in this case, how to use photography. So this section on this charity water brand book has different versions of the logo and how it can be used, ways that it cannot be used. So it says, don't capitalize our name, don't remove the space after the colon, don't remove the colon. So things that you are not supposed to do, and it gets quite intricate here. It's about their colors. So here are their primary colors and then their secondary colors. So even though we're not doing a brand book, you should think in this way as you start to create a system about what's okay to do with your colors or your logo, what typefaces are you going to stick with, what colors are you going to stick with, and that type of thing. And then this is a student example, so a little less intricate, but talks about the brand tone and the mission, ways that the fonts here, colors, patterns that can be used, the logo and how the logo can or cannot be used. Rules there. Anyway, so I'll post those and you can start to think about those types of things. I believe, go ahead and post this too, if I haven't already, the character and paragraph styles. That just gives you some options on fixing your hyphens, fixing your indents, controlling for widows and orphans are here as well. So rather than go through those, I'll just upload that document. So all these. Anyway, I think that will get us to where we need to be. And I am going to sign off. I'll see you guys. It'll be a while, but I'll talk to you again online soon. Take care, stay safe.